What up, what up, what up, Dolphin fans? Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Fin Posse Podcast. I'm your host, Big C, and this is brought to you by Game Changers Media. How's everybody doing this morning? How is everybody doing this morning? Another great day to be alive. How's everybody doing? Good morning to you, Raphael. How are you doing? Wakey bakey Jets. Absolutely. So it's on to bigger and better things. A new season. We start building towards next year. Technically this is the dead period, the dead zone, where the new league year hasn't technically began. So yeah, there's not much going on in the NFL besides general managers and teams trying to get their salary cap right, preparing for the upcoming free agency, which is a little bit more than a month away. Which means our front office is very, very, very busy because right about now we're about 15 million over. And Chris Greer's got to create some cap room if he plans on saving his job, Mike McDaniel's job, and Tua Tagovailoa's job. He's got to put that work in. He's got to find space somewhere, and we're gonna continue to go in depth and greater detail about the moves that he's gonna make in order to create space. The only way let's be honest, the only way he's gonna be able to do that and put a winning product on the field is to put a stranglehold on this Dolphins franchise for the future. He's gonna hurt us in the future. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? If we were able to have a very successful season, if we were able to get to the championship round of the playoffs, if we were to have an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl, would it be worth it to you to go through that this season, have the opportunity to maybe get to the big game, be one of the top elite teams in the NFL this year? Would it be worth it to mortgage a couple more years of the future? Would it be worth it to you guys? No, I asked that question because that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen whether we like it or not. Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, they care about survival. Survival is what all that matters to them right now. Survival. And the only way to keep the pieces that you have, to keep the good players that you have, the only way to create cap space is to by doing these voided years at the end of their contracts, spreading the money down the road longer. And that's going to make a rebuild in the future that much harder. Because it's going to be that much harder to get out of contracts. We're going to have that much more dead cap in later years. We're going to have that much more owed salary in later years. So would it be worth it to you to have Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel go out and bring in the needed pieces? We make a strong run. Maybe we don't make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Maybe we get close though. Is close enough good enough for right now? Is that good enough for you right now? To put in all that effort, put in all that money, the resources to have a shot? Or are you just ready to, take your medicine, struggle for the next few years and hope that the next regime can build what all the prior ones have not been able to? Let's be real. Everybody that's been hired since Shula, Shula was hired and he was here for a very long time. And Shula had great success in the 70s, a little bit in the 80s, and then I mean, in the 90s, they were competitive. They were a competitive team with Marino and Shula, but they couldn't get over the hump of the elite teams in the AFC. The Denver Broncos, I think they had went to 4 Super Bowls in the late 80s, or in the 90s. The Buffalo Bills, 4 Super Bowls in the 90s. So yeah, they weren't able to get over those elite teams. And then after Shula, there was Johnson and Wanstead, but none of these coaching staffs, none of the general managers that we brought in have been able to rebuild this team. And we haven't been able to get a Super Bowl contending team since the early 80s. That's crazy, right? That's crazy, right? That we haven't touched the Super Bowl since the early 80s, early the mid 80s. We haven't been able to touch the Super Bowl. That's 40 plus years. 40 plus years without being able to get to the big game. So do you have confidence that this team is going to be able to bring in the next group of guys this team brings in is going to be able to do any better than what we got right now? Because I've seen worse. I've seen worse than what we got right now. I mean, Jeff Ireland was worse. Cam Cameron was worse. Adam Gase was worse. I mean, we can sit here and go at it all day on how horrible prior regimes have been. At least this one makes moves and brings star players here. At least this one has us competing for playoff berths. At least this one does that. And I understand that's not good enough. I just get worried. I get nervous that we sit here and we want new, and we want better, which we should as fans. We should. But I get nervous that we're trading in something that gives us some joy, at least some joy. I'm nervous that we're trading that in for something that's going to give us complete and utter despair like other regimes have in the past. So I can't lie. It gets me nervous. I don't want to go back to the times of winning 6 games, 5 games, 4 games. I don't want to go back to that. And it gets me real nervous that that's what could be in our future again. And I understand after Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel get fired that there's the down period. I get that. And I'm not talking about the couple years it takes to tear down the roster and get it rebuilt. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the long term, the long stretches. The 2003, 2004 to 2016 without a playoff berth. You know what I mean? I'm talking about those situations, those long periods of time. Because I went through it when I was younger. I was 2004, 2005. What was I? 21 years old to 2016. 30 something years old. 30. But I can't go through another stretch. I can't go through another 11 years like that. I'm 40 years old now. I don't want to be 50, 51, 55 and still in the same freaking place. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be 55 years old and cheering for a team that's not going anywhere, that's winning 6 to 8 games a year. I don't want to go back to that. Raphael says, to be honest, I'm not looking forward to next season. This team reminds me of 1-15. You know the limit of this team. Raphael, I don't see the 1-15. There's too much talent on this team for 1-15. Absolutely too much talent. They're going to address this team is going to be better than what you think. I mean, think about the last 3 years. We've had a pretty good team. Not a great team. Not a team that you were like, damn, this team. I mean, can you say that you had after the first year, 2 years, you didn't think that we were moving in the right direction, that we had a possible a team that was capable of making a playoff push? Can you say that, Raphael? Is that accurate? Because you're saying a team that reminds you of 1-15. I see a team that has been on the cusp of being good enough. A team that's been on the cusp, right there on the edge of being good enough. And then I see uh, a GM and a coach trying to save their jobs that are willing to finally address the needs that we have on this team because their job's at stake. And I see them doing everything and anything they can to put a winning team on the field this year. And I think that we are going to be better than the prior 3 years. So in the prior 3 years, if we're winning 10, 9, 10, 11 games, I don't see how you can see this team winning any less than that this year with an improved roster. Unless, again, for the millionth, trillionth time, unless Tua Tagovailoa can't stay healthy. And even then, we're going to bring in a better backup quarterback than Tyler Huntley, than, Skylar Thompson. So even then, we should still be more equipped to win if Tua has to miss time. Raphael says, I'm just saying that the old Dolphins team went 1-15. You knew at the beginning of the season that they were not doing damage. Dolphins are just above water. As of right now, yeah, they're just above water. Dolphins are like Dr. Hyde and Jackal, up and down situations with Tua. Shake money. Raphael knows what's good, mi hermano. Yeah, like right now, I agree. We're just above water. We're just above water. We've seen what this Super Bowl was a perfect example of how you got to build your team. A perfect example. The good thing for us is there's a bunch of talented offensive linemen that are available in free agency. There's a bunch of them. This Philadelphia Eagles team showed us what it looks like when you have a good offensive line. Saquon Barkley was the perfect example, the difference between a bad offensive line will do for you and a good offensive line will do for you. Look at Saquon Barkley's stats the last few years with the New York Giants. Look what he did this year. This is going to be the best offensive line we've had on this team in the Mike McDaniel, Chris Greer era. This is going to be the best offensive line we've had. That accounts for something. That accounts for more than what I think you can even imagine. That's going to open up holes for HN. And what's that going to do? That's going to open up the passing game. Because those linebackers are going to have to take a step forward. Those safeties are going to have to come up and worry about stopping the run. And that allows our passing game to take back off. That means our quarterback's going to have more than 2 seconds to get rid of the ball. He's going to be able to go through progressions. He's deadly accurate. So if the guy's got time to throw, he's gonna get the ball to the open receiver. This offensive line is such a huge deal. We're making it like it's nothing. We're making it out to be nothing. People are acting like going from a bottom half offensive line to a top 10 offensive line isn't worth anything. In reality, all we got to do is be better by a game or two. If we're better by a game or two, 2 years ago, we win the division against Buffalo. If we're better by a game or two, the year before that, we win the division. Now, we wouldn't have won the division last year being better a game or two. But in reality, if Tua wouldn't have got hurt, if Tua can stay healthy, which is always the big question mark, an extra game or two for the offensive line, we could have been up there with Buffalo this year. Our GM doesn't see it that way. He's not worried about it. He is worried about it this year, Raphael. He finally admitted that that's an issue and that they're going to address it. He does see it now. He does understand. He is going to address it. Raphael, I guarantee you he addresses it. He's going to address that offensive line. He's going to bring in 2 starting caliber offensive linemen. He's going to bring in 2 starting guards, 100%. I believe he adds at least one of them in free agency. I broke it down the other morning that I see him bringing in 2. I see him adding 2 guards. Now, he's used to getting the big splashy player. He needs to refrain from doing that. We need to stay away from Trey Smith, the offensive guard from the Kansas City Chiefs. We need to stay away from that. That's $20 million, $23 million just for him. No, that's not the key. That's not the answer. We need to bring in someone that's a little bit lower. Guard Will Fries from the Indianapolis Colts. He's been getting better. Well, Shake Money, keep your glasses on. You're going to see it this year, brother. You're going to see it this year. His job is on the line. The cockiness is gone this time. It's gone. He knows he's got to make the right moves. They got an angry star receiver that if they don't make the right moves, they invested all this money in a quarterback that if you can't keep him healthy or keep him standing up, that, you know what I mean? That's a waste of money. What up, Costa Nostra? What up? Will Fries from the Indianapolis Colts. He's improved each of the last 4 years. He dealt with some injuries last year. But if you bring Will Fries in, we can probably bring him in for $10, $12 million a year. $10, $12 million a year. Dolphins aren't drafting a tight end at 13. No way. If they do that, I'm throwing my hands up, and I don't know. I might as well give this thing up if they go and do that. Will Fries, $12 million a year right there. Boom. That takes what? You got one of the best up-and-coming guards in football. Boom. Right there. Another guard I can see. Let me see. Let me find the page. I know Zach Martin. Where the hell is that page at? Zach Martin, former Dallas Cowboy. He's a little bit older. He's not a long-term solution, but he's got another year or two in him. This guy's been the 9-10 Pro Bowls. 9 or 10 Pro Bowls. This guy has been one of the best offensive linemen in all the football. Future Hall of Famer. He's a future Hall of Famer, guys. you bring in Will Fries and Zach Martin, that automatically takes you to a top 12, top 13 offensive line. With Brewer, a Jackson, and probably Armstead, that takes you to a top 12 offensive line. Yeah, you bring Isaiah Wynn back for some depth. You bring Isaiah Wynn back for some depth. That's a top 12 offensive line. That fixes this offense, I'm telling you. Yeah, free agent lineman. We're in cap hell until GM gets some wiggle room. He's gonna get that wiggle room. I had just explained that he's gonna mess up the future even more. He's gonna do contract renegotiations with Tua. He's gonna turn things into signing bonuses and push money down the void years. He's gonna do all that. They're gonna strong arm Bradley Chubb. They're gonna strong arm Armstead. They're gonna do a lot of things. They're gonna do a lot of things. They're gonna get the room. We're not gonna have $100 million, obviously, but I can see us getting 50. I broke it down the show how we get to 50. And he's gonna start making these moves here in the near future. You're gonna start seeing them here shortly. They're going to start hitting the news waves here very shortly. Another guard I had, Ryan Kelly, Indianapolis Colts. He's a little bit older. We could bring him in. All these guys, any two of them you bring in, we probably can bring them in for $22 million between the two of them. 20 to 22 million, or 20 to 22 million for the two guards. That changes this offensive line. That changes the dynamic of this offense. That changes up this running game. It changes up the ability to pass again. Again, the defense will start having to respect the run, and that opens up the passing game. Now, Big C don't stand for big cannabis. I don't partake. My wife does. I don't partake myself, though. It get me too gone. I be too gone. But yeah, he can fix his offensive line with $22 million. I mean, the free agent moves that I would like to see is I'd like to see us bring in the two guards. Don't leave that to trust. Don't leave that to a rookie. Don't bring in two veterans that you know are going to be able to protect the quarterback. Two veterans that are going to be able to open up lanes for us to run the ball. Let's do it. Let's bring in two well-known guys that are going to be able to do their job and bring leadership. Does that mean I don't draft a young guard in the top 3 picks? No, I still bring one in. I absolutely still bring one in to learn behind these veterans. I still bring one in. Shoot, maybe I bring one in the first 3 picks and then bring another one in the bottom 3 picks. Calais Campbell landing spots, he's not coming back to the Dolphins. I would like to hope that we can make moves that he feels confident to come back to the Miami Dolphins. His heart is here in Miami. Hopefully we can do enough to bring him back. Other landing spots for Calais, obviously the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe the Kansas City Chiefs, the Detroit Lions. I could see those 3 teams as probably the leaders in that. You know, yeah, the Lions. I can see the Lions. Hold on one second. My insurance is calling. Hello? Oh, you had the wrong number. I'm sorry. No, you're fine. No, they want Victoria Jackson, not Big C. Uh, Calais could go to the Bills. I doubt it, though. I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt he goes to Buffalo. My car warranty is expired. Yeah, you know. Yeah. Actually, I got a recall on my Dodge Charger that I haven't taken back yet. They said that there's glass fragments in my uh thing that shoots out when you get in a car accident. Said it could lead to death. I should probably take it back. Get it fixed. But yeah, I should probably take it back. I haven't done it yet though. But yeah, I would fix that offensive line right straight through free agency. We're gonna yep, the airbag, Raphael. Yep. They said there's glass and metal fragments in there that has caused death and serious injury. They keep sending me emails about it. But yeah, you address it with two of those guys. Like I said, Will Fries can be here for years to come. He's someone that you can plug in and he can be here years to come. Zach Martin, Ryan Kelly, they're two guys that you bring in and they serve their purpose. They're good for another probably 2 years, I would say, and they're there to help get a younger guy up the par, help teach a younger guy the ins and outs of the position. So I think automatically that turns us into a top 12, 100% top 12 offensive line. What that does for this offense, I think that turns Devon Achane into a top 7 top 7 running back. I really do. Devon Achane has great potential. Now he's very small, so I worry about him staying healthy. But Devon Achane, man, he can go. He can go. If you give him a lane, he can go. He impressed me this year with the amount of carries, the amount of catches he had this year, and with his ability to stay fairly healthy. I was very impressed with him. Jalen Wright will get some more opportunities this year. I like the rookie. He's got great speed. He's got a great first move. He knows how to attack the hole. So I like Jalen Wright too. That offensive line's gonna open up holes for our two speedy young running backs, and they're gonna have a field day. Then, like I said, your linebackers got to take a step forward. Your safety's got to start respecting the run. They got to start coming up and helping make the tackle. Because if they don't take a step up and help towards the line of scrimmage, that means they're getting Devon Achane. They're getting Jalen Wright in space. And these safeties don't want to have to try to tackle Achane and Jalen Wright in space. They don't want to do it. So they want to come up and help at the line of scrimmage. What does that do? We got two speedy wide receivers. What does that do if the linebacker, the safeties can't play too deep? That opens back up that deep passing game. That opens up the deep crossing routes. It opens all that back up. Add Jonnu Smith onto it. We haven't had Jonnu while the passing game's been going like that. So I really think we can get back to being, if this offensive line gets improved through free agency, we can get back to being a top 5 offense. A top 5 offense. Now let's talk about the defense from last year. Last year we had no pass rush. We had no pass rush. Our main pass rush guys were Zach Sealer, Calais Campbell at the beginning of the year. Later, the last 4 of the 6 games, Chop Robinson, started producing. Jalen Phillips was a non-factor. Bradley Chubb was a non-factor. We didn't really have a pass rush. Bring that back to this year. Chop Robinson should come back ready to play. Year 2, he should be that much better. He's a dog. He likes the work. I have full confidence that he comes back and he's ready to go beginning of the season. Hopefully Jalen Phillips is back healthy in a contract year. You know what these guys like to do in contract years. Hopefully we can rework a deal with Bradley Chubb. I really think that's another way that we free up a bunch of space. We rework his deal. That's going to open up a great deal of money. We put some years down the road, extend him, blah, blah. Give him a big signing bonus this year. That's going to open up a bunch of space this year. So now you got Bradley Chubb, you got Jalen Phillips, and you got Chop Robinson getting after the quarterback. We had a top 15 offensive line except 2 big key areas last year. And they're the biggest areas. People try to ignore them. Oh, we had a top 15 defense, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, did we? We were top 15 in yards and this and that and this and that. But the 2 key areas, taking the ball away, we were at the very bottom of the league. And sacks, we were at the very bottom of the league. They're the most important things on your defensive side of the ball. So we might have been top 15 in a lot of stats, but the 2 main stats, in my opinion, we were at the bottom half of the league. You give Anthony Weaver, this is a second year for everybody in this defensive scheme. You give him a pass rush this year. That's a ball game changer. That's a ball game changer. What's the other glaring holes on this defense? Safety. We need 2 starting safeties. Say Chris Greer opens up $50 million. Say he goes and gets us $50 million. I just discussed spending 22 of it. Let's say we spent half, 25 on the offensive line. You go and you find yourself a safety, maybe the kid from Kansas City. I made a list of that the other day too. I don't know where that list went. It should have been in my notebook, but I do not see it. I let my daughter use my notebook the other day, and now I can't find it. Yeah. You bring in one safety in free agency, and then I really think that we end up drafting Malachi Starks at number 13. Malachi Starks is a beast of an athlete. He's a beast of an athlete. He runs a 4.3. He is a nasty hitter. He'd be a great addition to that secondary. He'd make us forget all about Javon Holland. He would be great back there. Or maybe we get lucky and a Mason Graham falls to us, the top defensive tackle in college football. That's our other area of need is defensive line, defensive tackle. I wouldn't be mad at a defensive tackle at pick 13. Like I said, I want to address the offensive line of free agency, and I would be all right with going if Mason Graham's there at number 13. Absolutely, you go and you jump on that kid. You go grab that kid. Let me see. I wouldn't be mad at defensive because that's again the trenches. As long as we're addressing the trenches, and it's an area of need. How do we go about shortening up all the needs on the team? Like I said, you go and you use the space that he's going to get you to fill the offensive line. That takes care of those. We have big needs. I mean, we don't have that many needs. We just got glaring needs at those positions. If you look at team needs, we need 2 starting offensive linemen. We need 2 starting safeties. We could use a defensive tackle for sure. A backup quarterback, maybe an off-ball linebacker. A big body wide receiver would be nice, but it's not mandatory. And things like that are dirt cheap. Things like that are dirt cheap. Big body running back, all that stuff is dirt cheap. So glaring needs that are going to cost us money are the 2 safety positions, the 2 offensive line positions, and defensive tackle. We need a quarterback and DN that can stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start breaking up draft targets in sections because it's just too much. We end up talking about a lot. So today I'm gonna go over the quarterbacks. I'm gonna go over the quarterbacks in the draft that we could target. We're definitely we're gonna add a quarterback. We're definitely gonna add a quarter. We're not adding the quarterback of the future probably, but we're gonna add a quarterback in the draft. And I'm gonna show you some prospects that I think are realistic options. But yeah, if we could add, if Mason Graham were to fall to us, defensive tackle, Michigan, I'd absolutely jump on him. Or Walter Nolan, defensive tackle of Mississippi, if he were to be able to fall to us, I'd be all right with us taking defensive tackle at 13. Because there's a lot of guards that you can still get later on. There's a lot of guards you can still get later on. This draft is pretty heavy in guards. There's a lot of good guards in this draft. Maybe you trade back into the late teens, the early 20s, and pick up another 2nd round pick, another 3rd round pick. You know what I mean? Let's see. Sorry. Taking a look at this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've seen Walter Nolan go from Mississippi, go multiple places, even Kelvin Banks. I've seen some people say he's a top 10 pick. Some people got him falling all the way the late 1st round. Kenneth Grant is interesting, defensive tackle out of Michigan. He's a huge guy. He's a huge guy. So yeah, let's say we take defensive tackle 1st round. That eliminates one area in need. We could go linebacker, safety, or no, safety or guard. Yeah, 2026 draft class, Darian Menshaw. Yeah, like that's when we're gonna. Chances are, if this year's a failure, next year's the year that we go and grab a quarterback. Left guard, right guard, absolutely, Raphael. Left guard, right guard. What the freak? Nick Emma Worry, he's a safety that we could probably get in the second round from South Carolina. That kid is an absolute monster. What would benefit the team more? Drafting a quarterback, acquiring a capable through free agency, or a trade for one? Um, for the future or for this following year? For this year coming up or for the future? I don't think we trade for one for the future. Uh, I think we can get more than a K. Listen, if Tua misses 4 games and over that, we're done anyway. We're done anyway because this offense is built around Tua. This offense is built around Tua. I've heard things about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins isn't giving none of that money back in Atlanta. That's probably going to end up in a messy situation. I don't think any of the quarterbacks that are free agents are good enough to come in and win a shit ton of games for us, especially under Mike McDaniel's system that's built for Tua. I don't know. I would say free agency is probably best bet for this year. You bring in Andy Dalton, which these are not players that I like, mind you. They're not players that I like. I think they could come in and maybe win a game or two against maybe a bad team and keep us afloat. Something Skylar Thompson couldn't do last year. Marcus Mariota, that type of player. If it's strictly for this year to protect us against Tua missing a game or two, I'd sign a free agent. If we're talking about the future, I straight wait for the draft. I wait for the draft next year. I mean, I wouldn't mind picking up a quarterback, developmental guy, maybe someone that can, be a career backup, or maybe you find a Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Someone not necessarily a Tom Brady, but someone that is a late round pick that ends up being good enough to be a starter. He steps in and he does a great job, and he can become a starter. But Dolphins can't bring in quality backup. It'll expose to a GM pick. That's what I said. That's what I said last year, is that's the reason that they left Skylar Thompson here so long. Is that, and it's not that it'll expose Tua. I don't think that it'll expose Tua. Tua's talented. I don't think you're going to bring in a backup quarterback that's more talented than Tua. But what they're worried about is that you bring in a backup quarterback that has a big name or that fans think that is competent. As soon as Tua makes a mistake, the fans are going to be yelling and screaming for. They're going to be yelling and screaming for the backup, and the Miami Dolphins don't want to deal with that quarterback controversy. They try to protect Tua by all means necessary. They try to protect Tua. They don't want to hurt Tua's feelings. So yeah, that's been the reason in the past. Do I think that the backup quarterback's going to expose Tua? No. I don't think the backup's going to be better than Tua. Jameis Winston's not better than Tua. Jameis Winston's not better than Tua. Is he more durable? Yes. Does he got a bigger arm? Yes. Is he better? No. No. No way. No way. I mean, Jameis Winston, he can come in there and sling it. If Jameis Winston was the backup quarterback they brought in, I wouldn't be mad at it, because I feel like, hey, we're supposed to have hopefully a top 10, top 15 defense. Jameis Winston can put up some points. We got weapons. Hopefully Jameis Winston go out there and get in a shootout. Like I said, if we're talking about Tua missing 5, 6, 7, 8 games, our season's cooked regardless. So it doesn't matter who you bring in. This team's not going to succeed with another quarterback. This team is not going to succeed with another quarterback for a long duration. Unless you got someone like Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is going to be too expensive. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins could come in and run 100%, compete, and win a bunch of games for us. Kirk Cousins, because of his health, because of his talent, because of his ability to win, Kirk Cousins could maybe take to his job. Do I think Kirk Cousins is necessarily more talented than Tua? No. Again, he's got a stronger arm, but I don't feel he's not more accurate. He's not as good as a precision passer. I mean, we seen last year his reading defenses regressed, but he said he was hurt. But Kirk Cousins isn't a realistic option, not at that price tag. We can't go pay him. We can't go pay the big name guys. We can't go pay a Sam Darnold. Which I wouldn't want to pay Sam Darnold anyway. But you can't go pay someone $140 million. No way. You just paid Tua. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can find my other notebook real quick. Hold on. Yeah, I can't find it. I don't know. We always do this and we don't really address what's supposed to be on the video. Gonna get me in trouble. Let's go over some of the quarterbacks in this draft. Someone that I could see coming in and maybe being the long-term answer at backup. And maybe, like I said, maybe you find that diamond in the rough that, can eventually be a starter. The beauty about if we go about doing things the right way, if Chris Grier makes the right choices this year, if Chris Grier goes out and he drafts offensive linemen, if Chris Grier goes out and drafts a defensive tackle with the 13th pick, if he goes out and he truly addresses the trenches, even if this year ends up being a failure, even if Tua ends up getting hurt, at least we have started the process of rebuilding the trenches and building this team the correct way so the next regime can come in. They can be like, all right, the offensive line here is decent. The defensive line here is decent. They got some young pass rushers, which are key. Pass rushers, I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles may have shown us that pass rushers might be the second most important position in all of football. The way they were getting after Pat Mahomes and turned one of the NFL's greatest quarterbacks of all time into a beyond mediocre quarterback was exceptional. So that's the beauty. If Chris Grier does the right thing by this team this year, it addresses our team needs, offensive line, defensive line, safeties. When the next regime comes in, that's one less area they got to worry about. All the next regime will have to come in and worry about is getting us back under salary cap, getting us younger because we've turned into one of the oldest teams in the league, and finding the quarterback of the future. But Chris Grier this year should hopefully start the rebuild on the trenches. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Quarterbacks that we could. All right, so this is our top 5 needs. Our top 5 needs on this team right now. Number 1, interior offensive line. I think we can all agree we need multiple starters. Number 1, interior offensive line. Number 2, safety. Number 2, safety. But with the front office plan for the future if they are fired. It's not that they're. See, that's the thing. That's the thing, Cosa Nostra. It's not them planning for the future. It's them fixing the present because our offensive line is for the, that's what they need to succeed this year. It just happens that what we need to fix to succeed this year will benefit us for the future. Because the offensive line is that's our biggest hole. That's our biggest area of need. And he's got to address it with quality players, and that benefits us for the future. So he's doing it, but not deliberately for the future. He's doing it for now, but it's going to benefit us for the future. Number 2, biggest need on this team is safety. We need 2 starting safeties. Number 3, in my opinion, interior defensive line. Calais Campbell's probably not coming back. I hope and pray every day that he does. There's a good chance he doesn't. Again, them trenches. We need a big run stuffing defensive tackle, someone that eats up space, someone that demands a double team, so our pass rushers can get through, so our linebackers can get through. We need someone that eats up space, eats up the double team. We need a big, nasty defensive tackle. Number 4, a backup quarterback. We need someone that can come in and take over the reins and win us some games if Tua goes down. Number 5, I got as a tie. Number 5, I got an off-ball linebacker to help out with Jordan Brooks. And also at number 5, I got big body wide receiver and big body running back. We're too small in the backfield. We're too small on the perimeter. We need to get a bigger guy at both those positions. It's just what it is. You need some red zone targets. You need someone that can go up and get the ball. And then in the backfield, we need someone that can go and get us a yard. When the defense knows that we're running, we need someone that knows we can go out there and get that yard. Guess what? An improved offensive line helps. Short yard running, where we've struggled mightily. An Achilles heel of this team is 3rd and short, 4th and short. 2nd and short. A top 10 offensive line takes care of that. It takes care of that. People forget that. All right, so let's take a look at some of these quarterbacks in this draft. Number 1, I'm not going to say Shador or Cam Ward. They're not realistic. You got Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart could fall to the 2nd round. Shoot, Jackson Dart could fall to the 3rd round. I mean, he's very inconsistent. Very inconsistent. He might have the most accurate deep ball in the whole draft, but he's shown me that he can be very inconsistent in some of the practices. At the Senior Bowl, he was pretty inconsistent throughout the week. I don't think. Maybe with some work, he could be a future starter in this league. I don't think he's going to be anything special, though. I think he ends up being a career backup. But who knows? I didn't think much of Bo Nix, and look what Bo Nix did with the Denver Broncos this year. Jackson Dart had 4,200 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 69 completion percentage, which are good numbers. I don't know. I think he needs a lot of work. He needs more. especially for where he's going to go in the draft. I mean, I think if you go in the top 3 rounds, you should be ready. You should be ready for the league for the most part. So I mean, I'm not like I said, I'd rather address some of our other needs rather than draft a quarterback like Jackson Dart with a hope and a prayer that he can turn into something and be a valuable piece to this team. The next quarterback on the list is Jalen Milroe from Alabama. You know, coming into the college season this year, I had high hopes for him. I thought he was going to be a top prospect. I really did. I thought he was going to be a top prospect, and he was going to be up there and maybe have the opportunity to go number 1, number 2 in the draft. And he just didn't passing the ball. He just didn't do it this year. He definitely regressed. He only completed 64% of his passes, 2,800 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He struggled with accuracy, but he is a dynamic playmaker with his legs. He has 726 rushing yards, 20 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's dynamic on the ground. He's undersized. I would stay away from him. You know, I'm all for getting us a athletic quarterback that can take off. The Lamar Jacksons, the Jalen Daniels, the Josh Allens. But those guys are capable of throwing the ball. I feel like this kid is gonna, you know, there's been discussions with him about changing positions. So I would stay away from Jalen Monroe. Someone that spikes my interest in the later rounds, though, is Kyle McCord, quarterback, Syracuse. He was at Ohio State. He transferred to Syracuse. He had a pretty good year this year. 66% passing. He had led the nation in passing yards, 4,700. 34 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He's got that prototypical size. He's 6'3", 220 pounds. A lot of people have got comparisons to Kirk Cousins, which ain't horrible. Especially when you could maybe get him in the 4th, the 5th, maybe even the 6th round. He's definitely a guy that I wouldn't be mad if Miami took a flyer on. He's one of those guys that could come in and in a year be a really good backup quarterback. And who knows? Maybe he pulls the Kirk Cousins and he ends up taking a starting job from somebody. He gets an opportunity. He wows people and he works his butt off and he becomes a starter. Maybe not a top 10 quarterback, but maybe a very efficient, strong-armed top 15 quarterback. Raphael says, I hope Dolphins draft defensive tackle, lineman, free safety, and safety. Sign free agent quarterback and dollar general lineman is what GM loves. I'm telling you, Raphael, have some faith. Try to keep an open mind because this year, maybe I'm completely wrong. But what I took from the closing news conference is that I admit my mistakes. I realize that I messed up. We have been ignoring. And he's going to do the right thing by the offensive line. Yes, the front office should draft a quarterback in the late rounds. Maybe we find a Dak Prescott, a Russell Wilson, a Brock Purdy. Yeah, absolutely, Coach. I'm absolutely cool with that. I think we should draft a late round quarterback every year. I'm not big into those late round draft picks. The 4th, 5th, 6th rounders, 7th rounders. You might as well take a quarterback. You know what I mean? Half the time those players don't amount to anything. They don't amount to anything. Armstead and center we got from Titans. We got we got Jackson too. Yes, the front office should draft a quarterback in the late rounds. Maybe we drafted. Okay. Raphael Cartwright, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt was allowed to walk. Panthers overpaid him, in my opinion. Absolutely. And I mean, Connor Williams was coming off an injury, and he ended up retiring halfway through the season. So in hindsight, you know what I mean? Did we not make the right move on there? I don't think it was the right move to pay Robert Hunt $20 million. I really don't. I wouldn't have gave Robert Hunt $20 million. I would have let him walk too. Another quarterback that has been intriguing me lately is Curtis Rourke, quarterback from Indiana. He's a big-bodied kid, 6'5", 223. He completed 69% of his passes, 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Listen, this guy, given time in the pocket, he can sling it. I like that he's 6'5". He won't have problems seeing over that offensive line. A bigger bodied kid, someone that you don't have to worry about taking a hit and going down and being out. I think with some work, this kid could be a very good backup and possibly eventually be a starter. Curtis Rourke. The more I watch him, the more I like him. Definitely a prospect worth looking into. And then last on the list, and someone that I'm not very high on at all, is Quinn Ewers, the quarterback out of Texas. Listen, he's 6'2", 210 pounds. He completed 65% of his passes, 3,400 yards, 31 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I just think he's too erratic. He takes too many chances with the ball. He can make every throw. He just, I don't know what it is about him. I don't like what he puts on tape. I'm just not in love with the guy, and I think he's going to end up going higher than what he should. I think he ends up going probably in the second or third round, and there's no way that I'd touch him at that high. There was questions about maybe bringing in Arch instead of Quinn Ewers at the end of the season for Texas. For me, I'd stay away from him. Another 5 just to mention out there. You can take a look at them. You got Will Howard, Ohio State. Dylan Gabriel, Oregon. Dylan Gabriel reminds me a lot of Tua. Very accurate, smaller stature. He'd be a nice backup for Tua. If Tua was going to be here long term, and I mean we signed Tua long term, so who knows? But if Tua was here long term, I think he's someone that could step in and fill in for Tua immediately and win us some games. And we wouldn't miss much of a step with Dylan Gabriel as backup quarterback. Another quarterback is Riley Leonard from Notre Dame, Max Brosmeyer from Minnesota, and Brady Cook from Missouri. Those are all a bunch of other quarterbacks that, maybe you could take a late round flyer on, a fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh rounder, and maybe you find that diamond in the rough. I'm all for continuing to take quarterbacks in the later rounds, as long as we're never stuck with a Skylar Thompson again. Don't ever stick us with Skylar Thompson type of player as a backup quarterback. That was not good enough. It was unprofessional. he is not a professional football player. He's not. This guy is not a professional football player. But yeah, that's who I got for quarterbacks. Tomorrow we'll go over. You guys want to go over offensive tackle or offensive lineman tomorrow or defensive lineman? Your choice. Offense or defensive lineman tomorrow? We'll take a look. But yeah, I mean, we fixed the trenches. This team has we have a high ceiling. This team has a high ceiling if we fix the trenches. Raphael says defensive tackles. Okay, we'll go over the top defensive tackle prospects for the draft. Costa Nostra says O-line. Oh man, you guys put me in someone else out there that can vote and break the tie. I mean, we're gonna go over both. It's just which one we do first. I'm gonna end up doing all of them. It's just which one we were gonna do for tomorrow. If we don't have someone that breaks the tie, I'm gonna pull it out the hat and we'll just surprise you tomorrow. But yeah, we're gonna go over tomorrow. We'll go over the offense or the defensive line. Bonnie says O-line. What's up, Bonnie? Good morning. Well, Raphael, you're outvoted tomorrow so far. So tomorrow we'll go over the offensive line. The next day we'll do defensive line. The day after that we'll do safeties. The day after that we'll do some linebackers. But yeah. Also, I'm in the works of getting Richmond Webb on the show. Also, I've been in talks with Alan Poupart. You guys know Alan Poupart. He's the Miami Dolphins writer for Sports Illustrated. Hopefully, if I can get him on the show, I'm going to keep trying to get everybody and anybody I can get to come on the show and come in and talk Dolphins football with us. I messaged Tyreek Hill too, but I messaged Tyreek too, but that's probably a long shot. That's probably a long shot. I messaged Dan Marino too, but yeah. Dan would be a dream come true. Maybe when I get bigger, just because I've always dreamed of talking to Dan. You know, maybe if this ever blows up, I'll pay the money to have Dan come on. Okay. You you get on Twitch with him? Yeah, I messaged him on Twitter and I made a joke and I was like, "Hey, you want to do some charity work? You want to come on my channel for 10 minutes?" I can't offer him money. He's already rich as shit. He probably wipes his ass with the amount of money I could offer him, but yeah, I mean, do some charity work. Tell him to take the challenge. Tell him that you don't believe he can make a YouTube channel that only got 500 viewers blow up, go viral. Take the challenge. Poupart is knowledgeable, biased, but knows things. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own, everybody's biased to a point, you know what I mean? Everybody gets their own feelings and sticks by them for the most part, you know what I mean? It's very hard to turn someone or have people with an open mind. Like, I feel like I'm pretty open-minded. There's a lot of people that hate Tua. We can't win games with Tua. It's impossible. This is all we can do. And and I don't feel that way. I think there's multiple ways to get to where we want to be. I think that Tua can get us there. I think Tua can, like people say Jalen Hurts, if he comes here, he could do this, but could Tua go to the Eagles and win? I think if you put I think if you put Tua on the Philadelphia Eagles, I think Tua could have won a Super Bowl. I think Tua could have won a Super Bowl on the Philadelphia Eagles, but you know. All right, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you for stopping by. I'll be back tomorrow breaking down probably the offensive line because I got 2 votes for that. But the next day we'll do defensive line. So not a big deal. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, 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 thank you. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Uh Again, thank you for supporting me. I'm always gonna remember the people that rocked out with me at the beginning. You know, maybe this is all the viewers I end up ever getting, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, fins all the way up. You know what it is. Peace.